clean. Sometimes life is messy, right? And success is not from just A to B in just a straight line. It goes all over the place. And so I would have loved that my story was, oh, I had this brain injury and all of a sudden, this accident and I was bitten by a radioactive elephant. I have this incredible memory or something like that. But it wasn't quite that. I suffered and struggled. I had the brain injury when I was 5 years old, and I suffered all through elementary school, all through middle school, all through high school. And so it was like a good 14 years and a lot of it was, this thing where it's, even as a young age, maybe I was pretending that everything was fine and I'd be struggling. It's kind of like that metaphor of a duck on a pond, and you see it's like all calm and relaxed, but underneath it's just like hustling really, really fast. And people don't always see what's below the iceberg. But for me, I struggled privately. And my parents, because I grew up with these challenges, and I didn't have a lot of people to talk to, because when you feel like you're broken, you don't connect with a lot of people. So on top of everything, I was also painfully shy. I was introverted, but I was also shy and very reserved. And I would always sit in the corner. And I've never talked about this publicly, but I ask everybody, what their superpower is. And I feel like that my superpower growing up as an insecure kid who felt like he was broken and taught that by adults, that my superpower was being invisible.
Whoa.
Like, I didn't want to be seen. I mean, I ultimately did want to be seen, and I want to be heard, like most of us, and accepted and acknowledged, but I didn't want the spotlight. Like I would do, for example, my parents instilled like this work ethic about working hard, and so I would do a book report, and even though it was more difficult for me, and to the point where I'd be like, okay, I have it, I was done. But if a teacher asked me in high school to present it in front of a class, I would actually lie and say I didn't do it. Wow. And I would take a 0, and because I was so terrified of being in front of a group of people, and I would throw it out on the way out of class, and it was really scary. But my parents always held that there was more, that there was purpose, that there's a reason that I was going through these challenges. I mean, my mother actually became a special ed teacher because she just really wanted to help, because nobody knew.
Because of what you went through?
Because of what I went through.
Wow.
And so they were very caring like that, but the challenge is we don't know what we don't know. And they did the best they could to be able to help me, but what they did instill in me was that there was a reason, that they were going through struggles, just like when they came to this country. All of us go through struggles, right, in our health or relationship, whatever it is, but through struggles come strengths. And people don't talk about this as much, and I probably have a post-traumatic stress from it, going through brain injury after brain injury. There's also post-traumatic growth, which like a lot of it's not as widely talked about, but there's some people that go through immense amount of trauma and difficulty and challenge, but they come out of it actually more empowered, that they say to themselves that because of going through this, I found a new strength, I found my superpowers, I found a new meaning in my life, I found a new level of commitment, I found a strength, a mission, if you will. And they wouldn't, just a lot of them attest that they wouldn't trade that experience, no matter how painful it was at the time, for anything. And I find that growing up with reading challenges, and I couldn't read for an extra 3 years. I pretended how to read. And it's like the imposter syndrome. It's like they have this image of how they want to be projected to the world, and then they have this image of what they fear they are, right. And then they have their real who they are. But I think a lot of people are suffering and overloaded and overwhelmed, and they're depleted because they're trying to hold these images in place, and then be themselves also as well in different contexts. So that's why I love you, because you are the same on camera and off. And there's a congruency, there's an authenticity that's there. And I feel like a lot of people expend unnecessary amounts of energy trying to hold up this image of their ideal self to the world. And then they have this image that they fear it's going to be revealed to somebody else. And so growing up as a kid who couldn't read, I would pretend I understood things. Like teachers would explain things, and I didn't want to be the only one who didn't understand, and I would pretend, but in private I was really suffering and struggling. And so it's one of those things where you wonder why. Like my 2 biggest challenges growing up were learning and public speaking.
So crazy.
Which is, the universe has a weird sense of humor, because that's what I do for my mission.